I'm in charge of lending to all sectors of the agricultural sector. And so the aspect of precision farming is very important to us in terms of efficiency of lending to the sector.
And can we have Kola Masha?
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the kind invitation. Babangonan, which means great farm in Hausa, it's a model we've developed called an agricultural franchise, where we franchise a network of grassroots level farmer cooperatives and support each and every member of those cooperatives to enable them to attain a net income that is typically about 3 times that of the average farmer in Nigeria. We accomplish this by providing a holistic set of services, from training to, most importantly, credit, inputs, and a marketing platform that enables them to market their products and get better prices. We are today Nigeria's single largest maize producing entity. We'll be supporting 25 to 30,000 farmers this year to produce close to 100,000 tons of maize.
Thank you. So what about Dami Runsewe?
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I work with MTN, but the MTN that addresses solutions to businesses. I'm sure everyone knows MTN about consumers, but we deal directly with businesses, and businesses from various verticals, from the agri to hospitality, banking, etc. So for the agri sector, we provide the basic infrastructure. Data drives a whole lot of precision farming. So we provide the infrastructure from the cloud, data, communication, and some bespoke services we've done in the past, like the animal identification management system. So we look at challenges, and we're able to, using partners and directly doing it ourselves, provide solutions to this.
Thank you. Olaniran.
Good morning. My name is Olaniran. I work at Microsoft. I manage the cloud business for Nigeria. One of the things that has become top of mind for us is also agriculture, and how we're able to bring technology into this, enabling farmers to become more efficient as they plant, and throughout all the different activities that go through that. How do we bring technology to enhance that whole process and make it more predictable as they go along as well? So it's interesting to see the synergies even amongst the room as well.
Thank you. And last but not least, Onyeka Akumah.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Onyeka Akumah, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of FarmCrowdy. FarmCrowdy is a digital agriculture platform that connects small-scale farmers with investors for the purpose of boosting food production in the country. The platform, it's one that makes everyday Nigerians become farmers without a farm by going on the website and now sponsoring different types of farm types, whether it's maize, rice, cassava, soya beans, or poultry birds. At the moment, we've engaged over 7,000 farmers across 9 states in the country, and have actively grown their income by an average of 80% in the last 17 months since we've started business. We currently operate out of Lagos, and our website is pretty much our engagement tool, and that's how we apply technology to connect people with farmers now in an e-commerce style.
So I can literally go on your website and sponsor a farm?
Yes.
I don't have to be on the farm.
Now you can be a farmer without a farm by going on the website or downloading the mobile app and sponsoring any farm you choose. And at the end of the day, you watch your farmer go through the work he's doing on the farm, and you get updates and pictures and text update and text. And you can also visit the farmer while he's doing his work on the farm. And then at the end of the cycle, you get a share of the profit from what comes from the farm, along with the farmers.
Interesting stuff. So I read somewhere that precision farming is set to go to a $43.3 billion market by 2025. So there's a lot of opportunities in that space. So Onyeka, I'll ask you this actually. What does precision farming mean to you, and how do you link it to your farming operations?
Okay, for us in Farm Crowdy, one of the things we've noticed is that a lot of small-scale farmers have a problem with paying attention to details. And paying attention to details may just be as simple as knowing when to put seed in the ground and when to put fertilizer and when to plant and when to harvest and when to weed. It may shock us here, but there are farmers we've dealt with that will plant cassava in the ground and will do nothing to that cassava stem until harvest, which is 9 to 12 months later, and they just come and they want to harvest whatever it is they get from that farm. So to us in Farm Crowdy, we have introduced our farmers to how several smart farming techniques that now allows them to understand when to plant, understand weather conditions that we're able to provide to them in the language that they can understand, not necessarily with a lot of English. And I mean, for the regular small Joe farmer, he wants you to speak to him in his own language. It can be English or whatever it is, but speak to him in the way he can understand. And so for us, we bring it down to his level to understand what the weather conditions say. When do you put seed in the ground? When do you put fertilizer in the ground? When do you do your weeding? How do you monitor the plants to understand exactly what data they're giving back to you that makes you make an informed decision of what to do to continue to sustain the expected outcome at the end of the planting season? This is very important for us because at the end of the planting season, we would have promised our sponsors that we're going to pay them a return after harvest that meets a particular percentage at the end of the harvest season. Now, it's very important to make sure that our farmers go through several precision techniques that we recommend to them so I would get that desired output. And then everybody can share their profit and then they're happy about going through the farming process with us.
Thank you, Mr. Onyeka. So, Mr. Masha, this is for you. We recently heard that the federal government plans to purchase 10,000 tractors from John Deere, and the tractors are known for precision farming, and they are equipped with implements that control systems, data gathering that can impact our farming decisions. How beneficial are these tractors in the Nigerian agriculture sector?
So I think the reality is that tractors can provide significant benefits. However, I think at the end of the day, building on my colleague's points, you have a situation where the smallholder farmer, we work with tens of thousands over the last 7 years. There are a lot of unique challenges that require a very firm understanding of what is happening on the ground. I cannot tell you how many countless hours I've spent in villages and blacksmith shops repairing implements from tractors because you're plowing a field that has never ever been plowed before, and so you're hitting rocks the size of watermelons, roots that are 10 meters long. And so I think it's important that we understand some of the underlying challenges. And I think it's one of the reasons why our approach has been quite different. Our approach today, we leverage a tremendous amount of technology in what we do. Every single IT system we own as an organization, we've built ourselves as a proprietary system. We've got 6 full-time software engineers on staff building applications daily to drive our operations. But we couple that technology with a very firm understanding of what is happening on the ground. Today we have Nigeria's second largest fleet of motorcycles. We have 400 motorcycles in our fleet with individuals that are going out every 2 weeks visiting 20 to 30,000 farmers' fields, giving advice and guidance on the ground to ensure the farmer is able to adequately utilize the technology that we provide them. And it's for this reason that the average Babangona farmer has been able to attain a yield that is 4.2 tons per hectare for maize. The national average is 1.5 to 1.8. And we're not stopping there, right? 40% of our members are attaining yields that are equivalent to farmers in Brazil, farmers in China, so on and so forth. And we're not going to stop till we get close to 100% of our farmers attaining those types of yields comparable to other farmers in other developing markets.
Thank you, Mr. Masha. So Nigeria and Kenya are currently the leading countries in African agri-tech space, followed by Ghana. And over the last 2 years, we've had investments of over $90 million. So Lois, I'm going to ask you this. How has the efficiency brought about by technology reduced the risk for lending to agriculture, especially for small, older farmers?
Yeah, thank you. So leveraging on the detailed descriptions from Farm Crowdy and Babangona, it tells you already the impact of using precision farming when you're dealing with smallholder farmers especially, and then the impact in terms of improving yield, control, data gathering, and just general efficiency. And so precision farming generally, what is it supposed to achieve? It's sustainability in terms of production. And then so we can have the capacity for long-term production, and then it's sustainable. And because the cost of, say, inputs and fertilizers and stuff will be reduced, it will be specifically applied and all of that. So for us as lenders, these two scenarios painted here in succinct terms present a very stable, clear platform for a financier like Diamond Bank with focus on retail lending to insinuate financing into these kind of organized platforms, these kind of predictable platforms, these kind of scalable platforms. So yes, technology definitely has helped and opens us up into being more willing and interested and keen to dive in, because we are not diving in blind. There's information to work with, there's clarity, and you can see far ahead where it takes you to. So yes, it has improved and it will improve the more the platforms develop and expand and scale across the country. So we are excited about the impact of technology with smallholder farmers especially. And we look forward to what our partners in Microsoft and other places would do to make it even better.
Make farmers more credible?
Oh yes, because you're dealing with information and precision in that information, and it's dependable. It's independent, it's dependable, so we can draw on that and develop products and be able to advance financing. Like I mentioned, Microsoft says they have these things where you can monitor actually even the performance on ground in terms of yield. Drones are being used these days to plant. Drones are being used to apply fertilizers, and you just sit in the office and you program it and they can plant per row, per hectare. It's that precise. Why wouldn't we put financing there? Because it has reduced the risk significantly and makes our work easier, and we can put money there and make money.
Thank you, Lois. Okay, just as Lois said, I know Microsoft has this digital agriculture platform. Can you tell us more about it?
Okay. The Microsoft Digital Agricultural Platform is able to offer services to aggregators. So that's a Farm Crowdy and a Babagona type of organization who are able to, at the back end, organize the smallholder farmers into communities. And what we're able to do in that situation is to take things like rainfall patterns. We're able to take information around soil analysis, temperature, geospatial data, and then build an algorithm on top of that that's able to predict the optimal day for you to put a seed in the soil for you to be able to get an optimal yield. It sounds a bit far-fetched, but in the real sense of it, it's just about taking data that is publicly available and understanding the dynamics in the field, being able to use technology to predict that. In the places where we've run this, we've seen a significant increase of up to 30% yield in this situation. We ran one of those programs out of India, and we're beginning to pilot that in Nigeria now across 5,000 farmers with 5 different crops. And we were able to measure up to that, up to 30% increase in yield. That's one. Two, as she mentioned as well, we're also able to use satellite imagery also to do early warning signals to farmers, where, as we expect, based on the day that the seed has been sown, we expect that there should be a growth, and satellite imagery is able to do that for you and provide you insights into that. So if something's going wrong, that is something to, to call out. Pesticides as well, they're able to predict ahead of time if there's a likelihood for a particular pest to break out in a particular area. All this today, is possible by just really enabling technology, putting the data together, and being able to provide these insights to the farmers. One other thing also is that we're also seeing situations where organizations like Farm Crowdy and Babagona is able to now be that aggregator and provide that service as a level of assurance to make sure that the yield that's expected out of those farmers are optimal every time and in every planting cycle as well.
Thank you. So with all this data talk, Damilola, what systems like data storage, cloud, do we need to put in place to increase adoption and the use of precision farming? So any practices, concept, or policies, what needs to be put in place?
Okay, for us at MTN, the critical things we look at is to start simple. It's good to talk about a lot of this analytics, but the information at the very low level is also one of the things we've realized. A lot of farmers are not informed about what to do. So you mentioned the fact of a farmer planting cassava and leaving it and expecting it to just do what it has to do. So there's a place where you tell him, this is what you need to do, this is the amount of fertilizer you need to put, this is when you need to plant, this is how you need to plant it, these are the new things you need to be doing. So that communication to the farmer from the base SMS in various languages, equip them with phones that they can use. So you start from that base level, because you see that farmers are across a variety of segments. So you have the large scale, you have the small scale, you even have a very small scale. So he has to use bike men to relay that information. Technology plays a role in starting from that base. So as the farmers now get to the point where they're now using tools in terms of precision, nutrient level, pH, etc., and that analytics is done, it needs to be relayed back also in consumable ways that they understand. Extension workers have done a lot of work in reaching them, and that's the where a whole lot of this, a whole lot of aggregations come in. So what we do is we have a cloud storage also that we use to support people that have such facilities like this, that they can onboard all their information and also relay to. We provide the base infrastructure. So we provide data in cheap enough amount so that farmers can also have ability to browse and do all those other things. And cheap phones also, we provided some of those things. We work with those associations. So to finally answer your question, working directly from the simple to the complex, and we take each step as it goes. So storage facility, hosting is basic hosting. Microsoft, companies like Microsoft provides analytics. We don't provide analytics. So we provide all that infrastructure they need to do to push that. And we're able to now detail it down back to the farmers in the communication tools that we provided to them.
Thank you. Lois, I know Diamond Bank has a program with, a project with MTN. Can you tell us more about it for farmers?
Yes, so we have the Diamond Yellow partnership with MTN, which gives you really, really last mile access, cash in, cash out on the phone using an MTN agent in any remote location where you can find an MTN agent. So presently we're working with another aggregator of farmers across 10 states called Farmers Online. And what we're doing with that aggregator, it's a private sector aggregator, is to use the clusters of farmers across various value chains, from rice to fish to soybeans, across many, from Ikom to Abuja, Kogi, etc., about 10 states right now. we're using them with MTN and registering their farmers who have never had a bank account, who some of them don't even have the cheapest phones. And MTN was gracious enough to give the phones at a subsidized rate so we can pilot, and now we're expanding. And what we have is a structure where the sub-aggregators of the farmers in the villages who aggregate the farmers in 25 and 25 numbers per association, give them this information. We're talking about the extension information, planting, training on good agricultural practice, are also being made agents of MTN. So there's already a trust relationship between them. So they trust them enough. So they're the agents right now. So that way we are expanding the agency platform with people they're familiar with. And so these phones are there, they're given to them, and we're doing training from state to state and registering the farmers. So what is happening is that the farmers are now having access to banking facility in their localities, in all those places. We've done about 4 states. We target to finish 10 states before the end of the year, and then we can check it for impact, working together and see how we can move on to new states. So that is already the impact of technology. And the next level of that is to use the handsets that they have to provide the information it's talking about at that base level in their languages. So that's another level we're going to go to based on the success of the cash in, cash out. So there's a lot we're doing with MTN on that.
So if I'm not mistaken, the farmer can just text and open a Diamond Bank account?
Exactly, it's just a text on the phone and the account is generated. And then there's a list of agents within that vicinity you can also access. And then you can start transacting with your phone.
Interesting. So we're going to switch it up a little bit. I have a Twitter question from Emeka Olo. Is Emeka Olo here? Emeka Olo? Okay, Emeka's question is, precision farming using data and satellite imagery, can it bring about cheaper and high-quality foods for the average Nigerian? Kola, you can answer that.
So I think the short answer to the question is yes. Now, I think for us, the way we're leveraging satellite imagery in a predictive manner is basically we've, over the last, I think now we're in our 4th year, we've utilized high-resolution satellite imagery to assess roughly about 6,500 square kilometers of land. And from that, we're able to take the data from the satellite image and ground truth that with our tens of thousands of readings that we have with our field force on the ground. And through that, build very powerful algorithms that are able to actually not just tell a farmer that there's something wrong with their farm, but tell them early enough and be specific enough that they can actually do something about it. And so the idea there is that we can help farmers basically prevent losses. And as you prevent losses, at the end of the day, you will see yields start to go up, supply increases into the market, food prices will moderate, but farmers will still be better off because they're making up the difference with volume.
Thank you. We answered Emeka's question.
I'd like to say something to add something to what Kola said. There's something innovative he's doing, he's forgotten to talk about. AflaSafe. You talked about quality of food. Aflatoxin is a carcinogen that affected exports of groundnuts and other things from Nigeria. Largely, it actually impacted the disappearance of the groundnut pyramids because our groundnuts were being rejected because of the high content of aflatoxin. And Kola has been in the driving seat with IITA, where they created this biological control agent called AflaSafe. It's not a chemical. So that he has been a pilot in his farms of using AflaSafe to control the content of aflatoxin in corn, which made it possible for companies like Nestle and Co. to say, hey, whatever you produce, we will take, because it brings down the quantity of aflatoxin to very safe level. So yes, technology, precision farming, and all of that will improve not just yield, but quality of the output at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Lois. Right. So, Onyeka, which part of the value chain urgently needs technology advancement to make the most impact in the value process? What value chain?
The entire value chain.
You can
So
give
across-
examples, sorry. You can
Yeah,
give examples.
I'll give examples. So first of all, in Farm Crowd, our focus sits around financing and production. If you look across the value chain, whether it's logistics, moving farm products from the farm to the farm gate, whether it's market access, or designing solutions that will help farmers sell their farm produce at the right prices for them to make a decent margin, or whether it's even whether it's warehousing, whether it's identifying. I mean, recently I have a colleague that runs an Uber for tractors. What he just did is he identified all the tractor, all the aggregators of track. He became an aggregator for tractors, for tractor services, and he identified all the different locations where there are large pool of tractors, and then that made it available for farmers to order for tractors way beforehand, because getting tractor was a major issue at some point in time. And looking at the value chain there of providing that particular input, he settled on that and designed technology around that. So across the value chain, whether it's warehousing, logistics, marketing, market access, whether it's export, there's a whole wide range of opportunities for anyone to decide to use technology to solve problems for farmers. There are 38 million small-scale, more than 38 million small-scale farmers in Nigeria. That's more than the population of many African countries put together. And that tells you the market you will be serving if you decide to use technology to solve any area of the value chain you decide to focus on. You can just be the person providing all the information around fertilizer, or providing all the information around irrigation facilities on the farms. So I think this is what I have consistently been telling people. I mean, when I'm asked why one has decided to use technology to focus on financing and production as it concerns agriculture, I say, I don't want my children to ask me, what did I do about feeding and about food scarcity in the country? And to as many people as in the hall that are technology enthusiasts, that are really looking at problems they can solve, there are several places in the value chain you can look at and use technology to make lives easier for the regular farmer, so that he doesn't abandon his tool and is able to produce the food that we will all eat. So across the board here, please, there's so much you can do with technology across the value chain. And if you have a problem deciding which one to do, I mean, look within yourself around which strengths you have. I come from an e-commerce background, and that's why when building Farm Crowdy, I built it around something I knew. And so in deciding what area you want to focus on, decide on what your strength is, and then look at the value chain around how you can solve a problem with your own application of technology.
So the opportunities are limitless.
It is limitless. I mean, and the opportunities are real. There's a market for you. If you decide to do something about it today, there's a market for you. You don't have to copy a Farm Crowd in Babangona. There's so many other opportunities in the value chain. You understand? So it's limitless for everyone out there.
Thank you, Onyeka. Kola, this is for you. So precision farming is increasing productivity, maximizing output. So, Babagona, do you use visual extension services, or how have you been able to change farmers' perspectives? Because I know farmers are stubborn, learning new techniques.
Well, I think it's actually a common misconception that farmers are stubborn. I think farmers are actually exceptionally astute business people that are managing risks that none of us have any concept of that. And so I think what we interpret for stubbornness is that fact that they are very good risk managers and they are weighing their options. So I think that at the end of the day, what it comes down to is being able to demonstrate to a farmer that the solution you're providing has value, and so in their eyes, there's lower risk, but also ensuring that you are backing up your promise with some skin in the game, right? If you are saying, look, if you use this, you do well, and the farmer knows if they don't do well, they're not the only person impacted, guess what? You're going to see much higher adoption rates. Some of the technology that Lois talks about is only one part of the full suite of products and services that a Babangona farmer is probably the only farmer in Nigeria that uses today. And that's because we have backed up our promise that, A, if you use this technology, you will get this better yield, and if you don't, guess what? Because I'm providing this on credit to you, bad things happen to me as well. So I think it's, once you do that, you get absolutely no problem with adoption. We literally, 100% of our farmers adopt 100% of the new technology that we put in front of them.
Thank you. So Dami Lola MTN. So there are some communities that are like literally rural communities, no phones. What is MTN doing to target those communities? How do I have to reach out to MTN, or does MTN have a plan or project states they're working on?
Okay, so basically we have a network of sales agents across Nigeria. And we work with associations in these rural communities. So we look for clusters of farmers or people that aggregate farmers. Farmers Online is one of them. And we reach out through those associations. We've been able to provide some very cheap low-end phones to some of these farmers. And we continue to take those inroads. There's a massive opportunity in that space. There's a lot of farmers still without the information required to even take a step to farming in a precision way. So what we've done, basically work through clusters, work through associations, and we continue to just chip in and as time goes on. And we've been able to achieve, some level of inroad into that community.
Thank you. Okay, last but not least. So with Microsoft and storing of data, how are you, in terms of privacy and protection of data, how is Microsoft working with that? Data of farmers or just farmers and states, sorry.
Okay, so from a data privacy perspective, it depends on the individual and what the type of data. There's something we call data classification. So if you have different types of data, there's data that's critical for any organization, be it financial, agriculture, healthcare, that you deem fit as an organization to keep that data local. In other situations, maybe there are things around archives that are not critical that you can potentially store in the cloud. The advantage the cloud gives you is that you're able to leverage scale, you're able to leverage cost, and speed, to potentially either put an application in the cloud. So in that situation, one of the things we're also able to offer is a hybrid situation. So some of these very cool things we're talking about, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep insights and analytics, are things you potentially today can do effectively out of the cloud. If you try and leverage it on-prem, the cost of running that on-prem usually is more prohibitive than whatever outcomes you stand to get out of it. So I think at the end of the day, one thing we advocate is, one, there's a hybrid situation where you can potentially keep some things on premise, and then you can leverage the cloud for storage and for other type of capabilities. Depends on what kind of outcomes that you're looking out for.
Thank you. So we're going to ask questions from the crowd. Switch it up a little bit. Do we have any questions?
I guess my name is Dola Bangboye, MTN. Just an observation. What are we doing towards ensuring that the ecosystem is not overrun by agriculture? As we can see, the current global situation with all sorts of freaky, man-caused, man-generated incidences around the globe. I hope we're very conscious of that we need to live in an eco-friendly society so that we can leave something for our grandchildren. Observation, thank you. Otherwise, absolute presentation. I've learned a lot.
Thank you.
It's a very valid concern, and I think it's important that everything that we're doing is done with the mindset to be sustainable. And I think that's actually why it's important to actually bring the type of technology that we're talking about to farmers, because you basically have two options, right? You can have a farmer that is actually technically you have three options. You have a farmer that is not using technology, getting very low levels of productivity, and that's been kind of the case in Nigeria for millennia. And what ends up happening is that you have farmers that are basically practicing expansive agriculture. So they're going into forests, they're cutting down trees, just expanding their land holdings because that's the only way they can grow their output. Then you have the other extreme where you have farmers that are that without appropriate guidance, support, so on and so forth, are overusing these types of agricultural inputs, overusing herbicides, overusing fertilizers, overusing a lot of these technologies, which then have negative side effects. So I think for particularly Babangona, one of the key things we do is, because we're focused on sustainability, every single farm that we finance, we go and we visit that farm. We know the exact size, we know the exact soil conditions, and we know the exact crop that they're going to be growing. And from that, we can give them a package that is designed to ensure that they're not overusing, but they are getting the optimum level of productivity, because that is the only way you can ensure long-term success. Because at the end of the day, if a farmer overuses these technologies as well, eventually their soil will get degraded. And then it's not in their interest, it's not in our interest as well. So it's very important to get into that level of detail to mitigate for that risk.
Good morning, and thanks for this opportunity. My name is Shakirullah Yusuf. I personally have a little experience trying to sign up to Farm Crowdy earlier, but it hasn't been successful. And this is also Baba Ghana Farm, an opportunity for young Nigerians who have passion. Because personally, the way I grew up, I've wanted to leverage in this kind of opportunity. How do we tap in? That's the first question. Then the second question is that what stage of farming experience will you already acquire before you get into or be given the opportunity to be able to use all these facilities available both from Farm Crowdy and Baba Ghana Farm? And any advice generally for us? Thank you.
Okay, so the way we sign up farmers on Farm Crowdy, at the moment we don't sign up individual farmers. And I think that's where he had a roadblock signing up on Farm Crowdy. What we do with individual farmers is we have a land bank where we're able to get the farmer's data and get his details around the farm, his farm size and all he has, so that we can make this available in the future when we want to use that. But the way we sign up farmers and Farm Crowd across the 9 states we work in, we first identify the location where the farms are that we want to work on that will give us the desired output. We identify cooperatives, and I think it's the easier way for us to manage the farmers at the end of the day. Cooperatives that the farmers sign up with us through, so that we can hold them accountable to these cooperatives, because the money that we will use to buy the inputs that the farmer will work with are people's money. They are sponsors that are scattered across the world. So when you're sponsoring a farm, you hold us accountable. We have to hold the farmers accountable. And one of the ways we do it is with the cooperatives. Two is we go into the communities and meet the farmers with their community leaders, so that the community leaders also put a stamp of authority that, oh yes, I know this farmer, even if he belongs to XYZ cooperative, he's also a farmer of worthy reputation that you can work with. So this is the second level of holding them accountable. And the third thing is that we tell the farmers within our community that if any of the farmers goes against the plan and the agreements we have, we blacklist that community so that we can't work with them next year. So that it helps the farmers also hold themselves accountable to meet up with the desired work that they're supposed to do. So to individual farmers that come on Farm Crowdy today, that opportunity to work with us in Farm Crowdy will only present itself if you're part of a cooperative within the location of these farms across the 9 states that we work on. But at this time, you can make your data available, and we have it on the land bank so that we can, at the same time, with initiatives like I'm hearing from Microsoft and from MTN and from Diamond Bank, we can extend other services to the pool of farmers we have within our land bank. And then this becomes an added advantage to them. The second thing is, we also have an Agric Square. It's a forum for farmers and for people that are interested in farming. It's like a Naira land for agriculture where you can ask any questions around agriculture and experts are able to answer you and give you advice. If you have a farm in your backyard and you're just trying out the whole agriculture process, you can ask questions on agricsquare.com and somebody gives you answers to that. That's our own second approach of giving knowledge to people. I hope that helps you.
What do you want to add to that?
So currently we're focused geographically in Kano, Kaduna, and Katsina State. And so if your operations are in those areas, it's very, very easy to apply. You as an individual farmer can apply to work with us. We have individuals, students from ABU universities in Kano, so on and so forth, that are members of Babangona. If you are outside that geographic area, we are looking at options of expanding, and I would encourage you to look out on our website for when we're moving into your geographic area.
Thank you.
Sorry?
Okay.
Oh, babangona.com. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Olwell. My question is targeted to the lady from Diamond Bank. It was interesting first of all, I want to thank Diamond Bank for this initiative. It's been very insightful. It was interesting you mentioned that Diamond Bank has a facility for helping the unbanked rural farmers to generate accounts with a text message. And I was wondering where the BVN requirements come into play for that, and also does this facility apply just to farmers or the range of your customers? Thank you.
The facility is open to everybody. It just happens that I'm head of Agric, so I'm focusing on getting my farmers to have access to an account. It's a very, very simple account that you just punch and open, and it's a low KYC requirement account. So, but for most of the farmers we're working on across the 10 states, actually they all have BVN based on the organization of that aggregator. They have BVNs already. But it's not right now a prerequisite to generate the account. But when you want to take it to another level, you'll have to meet the minimum KYC requirement, which would mean you'll have to have that kind of level of control.
My name is Joki. I'm from Jos in Plateau State. I'm a software developer and also a farmer. Plateau State is key in terms of agriculture because there are a lot of special things that are grown there that don't grow in most places in Nigeria, such as potatoes, tomatoes, strawberries, apples, grapes, passion fruits, and all those exotic fruits and vegetables grown in Plateau State. Now, there's a big problem. Potatoes, for instance, if you go to most of the shopping malls in Lagos, we have potatoes that are packaged and sliced and imported into Nigeria and are being sold in those shopping malls. Meanwhile, in Jos, we have potato farmers who can't find a place to sell their potatoes. We have tomato farmers in the dry season. When it's tomato season, you can buy a basket of tomatoes for 200 naira, a big basket of tomatoes for 200 naira. And at that time, a lot of tomato farmers actually throw away their tomatoes because they can't find where to sell them. Meanwhile, we come here and we have all the shopping malls and supermarkets selling imported tomato paste and whatnot. Then the second thing is we're talking about small-scale farmers. And if you look at it really, a small-scale farmer can't make money. You have a small piece of land and you're working it with a hoe. Nobody can expect you to make money. The biggest problem that they have is that most of them don't have access to equipment, tractors. They don't have access to it. And you expect them to toil a big piece of land. They're not going to make money. I mean, finally, this one is more towards Diamond Bank. We're talking about opening an account for farmers. We're talking about buying a SIM card and a phone for farmers. What do they want to do with they need to make money. You're opening an account for them to put money. Are we going to give them? Is there any plan to finance them, to give them money? Because that's what they need. So most of what we're talking about is that we want to open an account for them, we want a BVN, but the farmers need money. How much is a tractor? How many farmers can afford a tractor? How much is the fertilizer? And finally, what are we doing to hold government accountable? Because there are things that, for instance, when it's farming season, all the government comes, oh, we're buying fertilizer, we're selling fertilizer for cheap. And it never works. Farmers don't trust cooperatives because it has been going on for years and they haven't really got anything solid from cooperatives. I know some of the speakers, in a little way, they must have done something, but I'm very sure they'll agree with some of the things I'm saying, that they will be able to succeed in a little way, but there are thousands more farmers that they can't reach. So what are we doing to help them, especially in terms of finance for Diamond Bank? Farmers cannot approach Diamond Bank in fact, farmers don't even want to approach a bank because I don't have a collateral to give. How am I going to get money? And it's going to take me a very long time to pay. So what are we doing?
Yep.
Okay, can I address the...
Okay.
Can I address that?
Yeah. So there are a lot of challenges, and in BEAS, things are changing. So we need solutions. So there are opportunities for logistics. How are you getting your products to Lagos?
Exactly.
There are opportunities for what's the government doing? I know Plateau State, they're doing a lot of things. But a farmer cannot just reach out to Diamond Bank, aggregate yourself into a cooperative. Apart from that, have you approached ShopRite? The opportunities there, how do you want to get your stuff to the market? So you from Plateau State, talk to people, how can we get logistics to get our product to Lagos or to the market? So if we sit down and talk about challenges, there are solutions. So those are also opportunities for investment. So things have to be done in that space. But I'll let Onyeka take it and Lois.
Okay, now speaking about Plateau State was the first state that Farm Crowdy went to. And we worked with about 600 farmers on 500 hectares of maize in Plateau State. Before starting our project in Plateau State, we spent time with the farmers. I traveled there and spent a couple of weeks with the farmers to understand their challenges. Frankly speaking, I'm not one of those people that waits for the government to do stuff. That's why I was saying it out here. Even you thinking about the challenges, it means you already have an idea of what these guys are missing, and maybe you can find a way of creating solutions for them. Now, what we did in Farm Crowdy when we went to Plateau State was we noticed that the farmers themselves didn't trust cooperatives, and that was why we went with the community leaders first. Our farms are in Barkin-Ladi. I guess you know that area in Plateau State. A 500-hectare farm in Barkin-Ladi. How then did we make a small-scale farmer that has 2.5 acres of farmland be able to have access to a tractor service? Only because we were able to pull them together. There's no way a guy or a lady with 2.5 acres of farmland can go to ASTC in Plateau State and get tractors. They won't listen to them. ASTC will tell you, you need a minimum of 200 hectares for them to move their tractors to your farm. And so only when the farmers come together. And now what I noticed is, just like she mentioned, she said farmers are stubborn. The truth is, you need to show them. What we did was we did trials. And when they saw those trials work, like Babangona mentioned, when they saw those trials work, they were able to come in and came in their drones. We had more farmers to work with than we really wanted to work with. So access to finance, pull yourself together, aggregate together. And that's what we did in Farm Crowdy in that location with the 500 farmers. And so in pulling them together, when people sponsored the farms, we're able to get the funds on a acre by acre basis to a farmer to get 500 hectares. What it would cost 600 farmers to work on 500 hectares of maize for a full season together. Input, seed, fertilizer, tractor service, all of it only because they came together. That is one solution you should take back and get those farmers to continue working on. The other thing is, it's true that potato or tomatoes are things that are perishable and their shelf life is very short. It may be a solution for somebody to set a shop in Plateau State where he will house the potato on behalf of the farmers for a period that can preserve it long enough for the market to come and meet them and buy at the right price so the farmers make money. That's an opportunity for somebody to take advantage of. But until somebody does it, we will keep talking about the problems and nobody would solve the problem.
Well, so on a final note, they have mentioned all the things that are necessary. For access to finance, you do need to have an account. Whether it's a DYA account or a regular current account, a bank account is required. Banks would not go around dishing money to cooperatives by hand. So what we are doing for now, even though they need financing, is in stages. First, bring them into the financing system, as close to them, as simple as possible. DYA gives them that very easy to achieve platform. Ordinarily, there's no branch in a village. They will have to travel to, say, the next available town where there's a branch. We've taken care of that with this product to bring it to them where they are. So that's already financial inclusion 101. And then once that stabilizes and the clusters and groups are organized and are performing like we have examples from our two participants here, it's easy to say, fine, we can lend like what he just described. And on our DYA product, there's an option for that. We also have better product, which we're also doing in Kebbi right now, in Arugungu. We have about 500 farmers, and they can borrow up to a certain amount. But it doesn't start in one day. So a lot is happening. The anchor borrower by the government is also for smallholder farmers. Is it working the way it's supposed to be? No, but it is moving in inches, and we will continue. If we just focus on achieving more and work together, we will get there. Thank you.
Thank you, Lois. We have just one more question. We have to round up.
Okay, my name is Frank Elanya. I write for Business Day. So, she just mentioned the Anchor Borrowers program, and also I am aware of other programs happening around the country by the Ministry of Agriculture, and also I also have followed Farm Crowdy very closely and some other digital platforms. But what I'm going to ask is, what kind of policies do we need to actually scale quickly? I mean, precision farming specifically. I'm not talking about just funding. I'm talking about we're going to have more from farm carrots come up. We're going to have more Bangoras come up. What kind of policies are we going to use to help these guys who are coming into these value chains to scale quickly around the states? Because right now it's almost like it's few states where it's happening. But we're going to have, if we're going to have sustainability, it has to go around the country. So we're going to need policies. So what kind of policies do you think we need to scale quickly? Thank you.
I'll let Kola.
So, I think to one of the earlier questions around the broken value chains. The reality is that if you look at many of the value chains in agriculture, they are significantly broken. And what that requires is a very focused effort to put in place all the key steps to accomplish that. It's linked to the challenge that the prior speaker talked about: potatoes, tomatoes, so on and so forth. I think the first piece that I think the government needs to do is determine where they want to place their energies and focus on key high-impact commodities. Oftentimes when you see governments making efforts towards supporting agriculture, you'll see a laundry list of different commodities that they want to tackle. The challenges are too great and that you cannot possibly fix entire value chains of such a large number. Personally, my recommendation to the government would be to pick 3 key value chains and look at them from end to end. Meaning, do we need to, in the case of tomatoes and potatoes, do we have to put in some sort of a some sort of a tariff structure, duty structure to incentivize local production? And if so, focus on enforcing that. Do we need to create incentives to people to finance the sector? Do we have to create incentives for people to go in and provide the right inputs, storage, so on and so forth? These are very challenging, complex problems. And I believe it takes that level of focus.
Thank you. Sorry, we have to wrap up now. Everybody on the panel will still be around, so you can always ask them questions if you have any questions. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Techfest, for having us.